Selma, this cruise ship is expected to dock in the Canary Islands this weekend. What exactly is going to happen?
This is a really complicated and sensitive operation to get these passengers off the boat safely, of course, while also keeping them in isolation. It's something that the Spanish authorities have continued to address. There is even protests on the Canary Islands against the boat docking, so you can understand just how sensitive of an issue it is. Now, Spanish authorities say they have an ironclad system in place. It's going to be a closed-circuit loop. There are medical facilities and medical personnel waiting to provide treatment to those who need it, waiting to provide any support that may be needed. They're going to have special entrances to enter those medical facilities that are specifically prepared for these passengers. They will all be seen, treated if they are needed to be treated. And then the other element to this, the part two of this, if you will, is repatriating those citizens to their individual countries. You have more than 20 different countries among more than 140 people. So Spanish authorities right now are speaking to each of these individual nations to figure out what their plans are for bringing their citizens home. Let me give you the UK as an example because they're monitoring several cases. They have 3 suspected cases right now that they're monitoring. One is in a hospital in Johannesburg, one is a hospital in the Netherlands, one is on an island, a remote island in the Atlantic, and then they're dealing with several other Britons who are on board that ship. They're speaking with Spanish authorities about providing specialist flights in order to evacuate them. And then once they arrive here in the UK, they're going to be asked to isolate for 45 days. But this is a mammoth operation and a very complex mission.
It certainly is, Selma Abdelaziz. Thank you so much. And let's go live now to CNN's Pau Mascara in Madrid. Pau, what are Spanish authorities saying about this hantavirus outbreak ahead of the cruise ship docking?
Well, Pamela, they have been trying over the last hours to reassure the local population that there is no risk of contagion, or that at least is very low. A message they have been also sharing with the regional authorities that they have opposed of the ship docking into the port of Granadilla de Abona. And actually, to demonstrate that everything is going to happen safely, they have finally defined the protocol on which they are going to transfer all the passengers from the boat to the respective countries. In the case of the 14 Spanish people that are on board of the cruise ship, they're going to be taken here to the Spanish capital, and actually they're going to be moved to the hospital that you can see here behind me. This is a military hospital, and in the very last floor of the building, they have a high-level isolation unit that they are going to use in case that they detect any symptomatic case between these 14 people that are going to get here. So far, none of the passengers or crew members that are on board of the MV Hantavirus is symptomatic. All of them are asymptomatic, but the authorities have confirmed a few hours ago that there's the first suspected hantavirus case in the country. It has been reported in Alicante in eastern Spain. It is a person that reportedly shown some symptoms that were consistent with hantavirus. They have performed a PCR test and they are now waiting for results, Pamela.
All right, Pau Mascara, thank you so much. And let's head to Buenos Aires, Argentina, where CNN's Ivan Perez Sarmenti is standing by. Ivan, it's still not clear how this outbreak started, but the WHO is looking at whether the Dutch couple who died were infected while sightseeing in Argentina before that cruise. What more can you tell us about that?
Hi, Pamela. And the Argentine Ministry of Health is currently reconstructing the route taken by the couple identified as the index case of this hantavirus outbreak. Investigators are working to pinpoint the exact origin of the infection. Let's remember that the ship set sail from Ushuaia, the southernmost city in the world, on April the 1st. However, authorities have not yet confirmed that the contagion occurred within Argentina. The virus has an incubation period of 1 to 8 weeks, and the couple had recently traveled through other Latin American countries before arriving in the south. Since hantavirus in Argentina typically develops in specific rural zones, the leading hypothesis is that the passengers may have contracted the virus elsewhere, and the infection was only discovered once the ship was at sea. Ushuaia has a population of about 80,000, and it's the capital of Tierra del Fuego province, an island at the southern tip of the continent separated from the mainland. According to authorities, there has never been a reported case of hantavirus in the province. Because of this, the local residents we spoke with are highly surprised by the news. In a small community like this, they say word of such a case would have spread quickly. Most infections occur primarily through the inhalation of viral particles from the feces, urine, and saliva of infected rodents. However, the World Health Organization confirmed that the variant infecting the cruise passenger corresponds to the Andes strain, the only known to be transmitted from person to person, which circulates here in Argentina and Chile. And until now, the Ministry of Health reports 24 cases so far in 2026 and 101 during the latest epidemiological campaign, which ran from June to June a year. This figure is nearly double the 57 cases reported in the previous period.
Dr. Schaffner, thanks for being here. So the World Health Organization is downplaying that hantavirus is similar at all to COVID. Listen to what one official said earlier today.
This is not SARS-CoV-2. This is not the start of a COVID pandemic. This is an outbreak that we see on a ship. There's a confined area. We have 5 confirmed cases so far. We completely understand why these questions are coming, but this is not the same situation we were in.
Actually sounds very much the same, because they let 23 people off the cruise ship and they sent them out into the world. I think, what they say, 9 different countries? That's pretty much what they did with coronavirus. Now, she's talking about the disease itself. Yeah, I get that. However, you know, they're being shady again, so just keep a heads up. Check out what Gaddafi had to say about the hantavirus before Hillary Clinton ordered the hit on him. Hillary and Barack Obama, I guess that would be, huh? What they did to him was absolutely disgraceful. It makes Trump's seizure of Venezuela and capture of Maduro look like a walk in the park. In his 2009 UN speech, I don't know if the prediction is right, but he was just letting us know what was going on. Now, can't help but wonder where this ship originated from, or Patient Zero, if they had anything to do with these Ukrainian labs that Russia's been trying to warn us about. There will be many viruses in the future. They create a virus and spread it around the world so capitalistic companies can make massive profits off selling the vaccine. He was murdered by the CIA 2 years later. Let's find out why Hillary
that is the land of unconfirmed
so happy.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
In 2009, Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi addressed the United Nations General Assembly in a speech that shocked the world. What was scheduled for 15 minutes became a 96-minute explosion of raw truth, accusations, and global criticism. This video features 10 minutes of the most controversial and revealing moments from that speech, unfiltered and unforgettable.
Distinguished members of the United Nations General Assembly, I greet you on behalf of the African Union, and I call upon this gathering to be remembered as a historic moment in the life of the world. In the name of the General Assembly of the United Nations, presided over by Libya this year, in the name of the African Union, in the name of 1,000 African traditional kingdoms, and in your names as representatives of your peoples, I extend my congratulations to our son, President Barack Obama, for being here for the first time as President of the United States. We greet him because his country is the host of this assembly. This meeting comes at a peak moment of challenges that confront us all, challenges that we must unite to face and defeat with serious collective effort. These are the true enemies of humanity, and they do not discriminate between us. They are climate change, the global financial crisis, or what we may call the collapse of the capitalist economic system, food and water insecurity, desertification, terrorism, mass migration, the spread of diseases, some natural, some man-made. Yes, some viruses have been engineered by military laboratories as biological weapons and have since escaped control. What we know today as swine flu, or the goat flu as I like to call it, may be one such weaponized virus, developed in a lab for warfare purposes and accidentally released. Then there is the terrifying spread of nuclear weapons, the growth of terrorism, and the moral collapse of society. The rise of fear, hypocrisy, materialism, and spiritual emptiness. All of these are enemies we share. They do not recognize borders, religions, or ideologies. They are the common threat to every nation on this earth. And so I say you all, let us be honest, brutally honest, about how we got here. This is not a time for diplomacy as usual. This is not a time for fear or flattery. This is a time for truth. The fate of the entire world is at stake. The future of humanity demands courage, not cowardice. Why was President Kennedy assassinated? We must look into this. He wanted to inspect Israel's nuclear reactor, the Dimona reactor. That is why he was killed. This is a matter for investigation. No one has dared to open this file. But I say it must be investigated by the United Nations. And what about September 11? We were told it was Al-Qaeda. Fine. But who is Al-Qaeda? Was it really them? Where is the proof? Where is the investigation? The United Nations should have formed an independent international fact-finding committee to uncover the truth about 9/11. But instead, wars were launched. Afghanistan was invaded. But the Afghan Taliban were not involved in 9/11. Bin Laden was a known individual. If he committed a crime, he should have been brought to court. A single person cannot be used as an excuse to bomb an entire country. This is unjust. And Iraq? Iraq had nothing to do with September 11. Yet it was destroyed. It was said Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. Where are those weapons? They do not exist. This was a lie. An entire nation was destroyed based on a fabrication. 65 wars have occurred since the establishment of the United Nations. Millions of lives have been lost. Were these wars in the interest of all nations, as the UN Charter demands? No. These wars served the interests of a few countries. The countries with permanent seats in the Security Council and the power of veto are the ones who have waged war most frequently. They are the ones who have violated the UN Charter. Who gave them the right to occupy Iraq, to bomb Afghanistan, to divide Korea, to invade Panama, to destroy Yugoslavia, to occupy Palestine? Who authorized these acts? These countries believe they are above the law. They think their veto gives them a divine right. But the veto is against the UN Charter. It is terrorism. It is used to silence the world. I say to you, this assembly is the true Congress of the world, not the Security Council, not those 5 countries who act as if they own the planet. We are 190 nations. We are the United Nations. The truth has been hidden. Justice has been denied. The powerful have manipulated facts, distorted history, and imposed their will through force. This must end. We must expose the lies. We must reclaim the truth. If we are to have peace, we must begin with honesty. If we are to have justice, we must begin with truth. The Palestinians are being killed. Their homes are demolished. They are driven from their lands. What is this if not terrorism? The United Nations was created to protect the weak, but it has become a tool of the strong. Why has it not protected the Palestinians? Why has it not acted against Israel? Israel has committed massacres, acts of genocide. The massacre at Sabra and Shatila, who was held accountable? Who was tried in court? No one. I propose a solution. One democratic state for Jews and Palestinians. Not 2. 2 states mean division. 2 states mean conflict. Let them live together, side by side, with equal rights. Let the name be Isratine. If South Africa could end apartheid and become one state for all its people, then why can't Palestine and Israel do the same? Israel has nuclear weapons, yet it faces no sanctions. Other nations are punished for even thinking about developing such weapons. This is hypocrisy. This is injustice. The United Nations cannot be silent. It cannot allow this to continue. The Security Council, with its veto, protects Israel. That veto is used not to serve peace, but to block justice. It is used to allow war. I call on the UN to investigate the occupation, the killings, the settlements, and the nuclear arsenal. Israel is not above the law. Let the world hear this. The solution is not war. The solution is not walls. The solution is not apartheid. The solution is one democratic country for both peoples. We will not be silent. We will not forget the martyrs of Palestine. We will not forget Gaza. We will not forget Jerusalem. This assembly must act. History will judge us. The Security Council is supposed to provide peace. But who does it protect? It protects the powerful. It should be called the Terror Council. We are told the UN was created to serve all nations, but it was founded by 3 or 4 powers that defeated Germany. They created the structure, the charter, and the rules. They gave themselves permanent seats and the veto. Then they invited the rest of us and asked us to wear this suit that was never made for us. Where were the other 165 nations? We were not there. We did not agree to this system. The Security Council was imposed upon us. It is not democratic. It is not legitimate. The preamble of the Charter says all nations are equal, but the articles that follow contradict it. The Charter is invalid. The veto violates the Charter. The permanent seats violate the Charter. This document must be rewritten. If we are equal, then no one should have a special seat. If we are equal, no one should have a veto. If this is a democratic body, let us act like one. Otherwise, we must reject the Security Council and its false authority. And why is the UN in America? This is supposed to be an international organization. It should not be under the authority or surveillance of one nation. We propose that the UN headquarters be relocated. Let it rotate. Let it go to Africa, Asia, Latin America. Let the whole world share in hosting this body. And why is it still called the United Nations? That was the name of the World War II alliance. We should call it the League of Nations, or better, the Nations of the Earth. We were not all part of the war. We should not be ruled by the victors of that war. We must liberate the UN from the grip of those who use it for domination. We must return it to the people of the world. If we fail to do so, this organization has no value. It will become a tool of injustice, not a beacon of peace.
May 7th, 2026. Dozens of passengers left hantavirus-stricken cruise ship after first fatality. More than 24 passengers from at least 12 different countries left a cruise ship hit by a deadly hantavirus outbreak without contact tracing nearly 2 weeks after the first passenger died on board, the ship operator and Dutch officials said Thursday. 3 new patients evacuated from cruise ship with deadly hantavirus. Dutch Health Ministry said Thursday that a flight attendant on a plane briefly boarded by an infected cruise passenger in South Africa was showing symptoms of hantavirus and would be tested in an isolation ward at a hospital in Amsterdam. So why weren't they careful? Why does it appear as though they want exposure and another pandemic? It's strange, don't you think? First hantavirus case on board was confirmed May 2nd. 3 people, including the ship's doctor, were evacuated Wednesday while the ship was near the West African island country of Cape Verde and taken to specialized hospitals in Europe for treatment. The body of the Dutchman, who was the first to die on board on April 11th, was taken off the ship on the remote South Atlantic island of St. Helena on April 24th, when his wife also disembarked. She then flew to South Africa a day later and died there. Does it make any sense to you? Oceanwide Expeditions, the Netherlands-based cruise ship company, said Thursday that 29 passengers left the vessel at St. Helena, while the Dutch Foreign Ministry put the number at 40. So they don't know because they're not really keeping track. The people who left the ship at St. Helena to return to their home countries were of at least 12 different nationalities. Oceanwide Expedition said. It said there were at least 2 people whose nationalities were unknown because we're just not really keeping track of it. Okay, well, there we have it. The ship sets off from Ushuaia, I don't know how to pronounce that, in the far south of Argentina. Interesting. Scheduled stops include Antarctica and several isolated South Atlantic Ocean islands. And then 5 days later, we have a 70-year-old Dutch man becoming sick on board with fever, headache, and mild diarrhea. They had gone sightseeing and traveled elsewhere in Argentina and Chile. But then I heard somebody else reporting that it actually isn't, it is not a hantavirus. It is something different. So Argentina, Antarctica, I wonder, and Chile, I wonder what they're going to say regarding origin. We start putting our money on it? Should we put our money in Argentina? Or Antarctica? Or Chile? Oh my goodness, he died. So sad. Oh. Now people are saying it has 30% mortality, there's no cure, and yet they're just letting people leave the ship and travel around the world. So which is it? Is this another pandemic, or are they just trying to freak us out? I don't know, friends, but I think it's time to build up those immune systems. Definitely time to build up our immune systems. Of course, they're all saying it's not going to be the next COVID. And it probably won't be. But we just can't believe anything that they say. Because they're compulsive liars. But I can't find anything that says it is not hantavirus. I'll have to see if I can find that interview, that broadcast, and I'll just make a follow-up video. Because we're going to have to keep our eyes on this. Well, if it is a pandemic, let's just look at the likely bad actors involved. Okay, so we know that there are 2 biolabs here near Buenos Aires. Chile, Argentina report rise in deadly hantavirus cases May 7, 2026. So far in 2026, Chile has confirmed 39 hantavirus cases through May with a fatality rate of 33%. The figures surpassed 2025 totals when Chile recorded 44 cases and 8 deaths during the entire year. Most of the infected patients are men involved in rural and forestry activities, according to Chile's health ministry. In Argentina, the National Epidemiological Bulletin has reported 42 confirmed cases this year. Local authorities are particularly concerned about the mortality rate, which has ranged between 31% and 39% in 2026, significantly above the historical average of about 22%. Okay, so they made it a bit more efficient, sounds like. Health experts warn that early hantavirus symptoms are often confused with influenza or COVID-19, delaying medical treatment, even though the disease can rapidly progress into severe cardiopulmonary syndrome. Authorities have also detected the spread of the virus into more populated areas. In Argentina, the central region, including Buenos Aires, and that's where the 2 biolabs are, Santa Fe and Entre Rios provinces now accounts for more than 70% of reported cases, surpassing the historically affected Andean region. And do we have to worry about it coming out of a biolab in Argentina? Well, let me just show you something real quick. I want to do a U.S.-Argentina timeline for you. October 17th, 2025, why Trump is giving Argentina a $20 billion lifeline to help its flailing economy. Wow, isn't that nice? Did you know about that? Trump's Argentina bailout enriches one well-connected U.S. billionaire. A $20 billion U.S. rescue package is a gift for a hedge fund manager with ties to Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. The U.S. did not simply give Argentina $40 billion under the Trump administration. The White House authorized a $20 billion Treasury currency swap line and sought to mobilize an additional $20 billion from private banks and sovereign funds, producing headlines of a possible $40 billion package. Phew, that's a lot of money. October 2025, Argentina inaugurated the first biosafety level 4 lab in Latin America. Malay's government announced that throughout the continent, only the United States has a facility of this kind. Located at the Biological Containment Center Operational Unit of the National Institute of Infectious Disease, ANLIS, Dr. Carlos G. Malbrain, the announcement made by the Minister of Health, Mario Lugones, through his X account marks a turning point in Argentina's healthcare capacity to face biological threats. Really? Then how come hantavirus seems to be out of control? It's funny how that is, isn't it? According to the minister, with his inauguration, Argentina is placed at the scientific forefront of the continent in a position that it only shares with the United States. That's not a good thing. The BSL-4 lab represents the highest international category in biological safety, capable of handling high-risk infectious agents that can cause severe diseases without widely available treatments or vaccines. Among the pathogens that can be studied are viruses such as Ebola, Marburg, hantavirus, and various hemorrhagic fevers. The facility will not only play a key role in basic research, but also in the development of rapid diagnostics, antivirals, and vaccines. It will also be essential for monitoring emerging variants and studying animal reservoirs, with the aim of anticipating and preventing possible interspecies jumps that could trigger epidemic outbreaks. Right. Well, what do you think about that? Think it's located in Buenos Aires? Sure enough, friends. When you look into Argentina's first level 4 biosecurity lab that studies things like the hantavirus, it's located in Buenos Aires, where they have seen a rise in hantavirus cases. So what's going on with Argentina? Well, there's this. Who's accepted and who's rejected invites to join Trump's Board of Peace? February 19th, 2026. Well, look, it's Argentina. Let's see what they have to say. It is an honor for me to have received tonight the invitation for Argentina to join as a founding member the Board of Peace, an organization created by President Trump to promote lasting peace in regions affected by conflict, starting with the Gaza Strip. Milei posted on X on January 17th alongside a copy of the invitation. Argentina will always stand with the countries that confront terrorism head on, that defend life and property, and that promote peace and freedom. It is an honor for us to share in such a great responsibility. And I did do a little video about this not too long ago if you want to look more into some of these nations and their association with the Trump administration, the U.S. government system. So that was February 2026. Let's see here. I think this was January. Yeah, January 2026. Argentina has repaid its $20 billion credit line from the Trump administration, Scott Bessent says. Oh, great. Fantastic. But I thought it was $40 billion. So is it $40 billion or $20 billion? They paid it back. Did he get interest? What's going on here? Okay. 14 days ago, Donald Trump angers NATO ally UK before King Charles's visit with push to help Argentina reclaim Falkland Islands. So this is just before the outbreak. Argentina's leader hails progress in reclaiming Falklands after Trump threat. And the thing about the Falklands that's really, really interesting is that's the origin of the black goo. And I did a Shoggoth video explaining the black goo in the Falkland Islands and that war and how most of these soldiers are dead. And the one that was left, he blew the whistle and he made a video. It's really interesting stuff, friends. So when we have Argentina involved with a possible pandemic, it's raising red flags with me. 4 days ago, Argentina's Milei restores press access to presidency after a ban sparks backlash. Argues glee, Argentina's leader hails progress in reclaiming Falklands as pal Trump considers review of UK's claim over islands. 1 week ago. Why is Donald Trump threatening the Falklands? The Trump administration threat to review its position on Britain's claim to the Falkland Islands could have a significant impact on the future of the South Atlantic British overseas territory, analysts have said. May 7th, 2026. Argentina's leader, a MAGA celebrity, is in a race against time to prove himself. Yeah, I don't know about all that. Javier Milei, president of Argentina and perhaps Donald Trump's closest ally in the Western Hemisphere, likes to call himself the libertarian, the anarcho-capitalist, and the minarchist, whatever. In practice, this means he seeks to dismantle the state. Well, alrighty then. May 8th, 2026. Argentina's hotspot for Antarctic cruises insists it didn't cause the Hantavirus outbreak. But if it's got an uptick in Hantavirus cases, how can they say that? I believe we are facing a smear campaign against this destination. Juan Facundo Petrina, the province's director of epidemiology, told reporters Friday in a press conference from Ushuaia, whatever. Federal officials didn't contact local authorities initially. Instead, they discovered the purported connection via media reports. Additionally, Tierra del Fuego has never recorded a case of the Hantavirus, let alone the Andes variant involved in the ship outbreak. So was it made? Was it created in a lab in Buenos Aires? Who knows? But if there's any revelations, I will certainly inform you. Again, just keep your immune system up. Do the best that you can to stay healthy and keep your hands away from your face. Wash your hands a lot. We're going to be fine. And just two other kind of interesting things about Argentina. So, remember Edward Snowden? I think he's still hiding out in Russia. Well, whistleblower Edward Snowden claims Britain spied on Argentina over fears of new Falklands invasion. And that was like back in 2015. And now 10 years later, there's talk again, well, via Trump this time. The Mesopotamian civilization is the oldest civilization known as the first civilization in the world. And that just goes back to 3500 BC. So 8,000 years. And of course, I had to mention this guy. Timeline. Bill Gates' prediction for the next pandemic resurfaces 1 day ago. Resurfaces as Hantavirus leaves 3 people dead. Made an unnerving prediction about the next pandemic in a resurfaced video interview as the cruise ship outbreak in Hantavirus has resulted in 3 deaths. The Microsoft founder urged people to be more prepared in an interview just last year, warning that COVID would not be the last pandemic we see as a society. Bill Gates-backed vaccine group warned Hantavirus could be next pandemic. Gavi Vaccine Alliance, whose main backer is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, talked about the dangers of hantavirus 5 years ago in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Well, how did he know? Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, has received billions of dollars from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to help research and develop immunizations. While it said that the pandemic threat level of hantavirus was deemed low, hantaviruses generally were becoming an increasing concern. Gavi said the hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HPS, has become endemic across the North and South Americas, and a type known as Andes virus, the strain which caused the cruise ship outbreak, was of particular concern in Chile and Argentina. So do some research. I always go for non-GMO. But, you do your thing. Noosa Pure. There's a lot of different types. I think I'm going to check this one out here. Let's see if I can buy it somewhere other than Amazon. If you're concerned, just get yourself some red marine algae. I keep krill, I keep chlorophyll, spirulina, I keep stuff like this around, You never know when you're going to need it, so pick yourself up a bottle if you're worried about it and start taking some, and I'm going to be just fine. It kills almost 100% of the hantavirus, so we're good friends. Take care. If I find out anything else, I will certainly let you know. Just do yourself a favor and stick with the natural proteins and stay away from the AI protein. Yep, you heard me right. AI protein therapy. Honestly, just stay away from everything that is AI. That'll be a great big fat no for me.